Hey, what's up, fellas and malicious female fans? Steve Alicious here with the Microsoft. Almost had to stop myself. Almost said Nokia. The Microsoft Lumia 640 LTE. But before we get to that, thank you so much to all the new subscribers. Getting oh so close now to 5,900 as of the taping of this video. I've been loving all the tech, both new and old. Go ahead and give that subscribe button a tussle. It certainly means a lot to me. So, the Microsoft Lumia 640 is my first Microsoft branded Lumia product. All the other ones I've had have been Nokia's. I still have them. But this one is interesting along with the 950 because the LTE part that I mentioned at the beginning is incredibly important. It is one of the ones that is going to survive at least the AT&T apocalypse, and it should be. This is listed, okay? So it's not just me saying that you should go on there and bug them because it's capable of voice over LTE. This is actually listed on their site as one of the ones that's going to survive the 3G shutoff. So I thought it was interesting to go ahead and take a look at one and go back to it. It's my first one. I had the 830, 920, 930, like all the rest of them, but I have not had the Microsoft 640 or the 950. I know a lot of people, you've been waiting for that 950 review. I promise it'll come someday, but with the prices, I don't know how that's affected by the supply chain, or maybe that just because people know that you could use them if they're AT&T branded now or something after the shutdown and they want a Windows phone. Whatever the case happens to be, those prices went through the roof, and I'm not paying $200 and something for a nice example of a 950. But if those prices come down, we'll certainly have one on the channel. But this one, $39 new on eBay, which is for a reason. If you get an AT&T one or an unlocked one, it's going to be a bit more. But I saw this from Cricket Wireless, and you can see branded Cricket right there. I figured, I'll pick one up. No big deal, right? $39, I'll save the $20. It's brand new in box. That'll be pretty cool. Pick it up. I'll activate it because I understand, the Cricket policy, if you know them, Cricket Wireless, a phone can be unlocked, but only after having an active SIM in it for 6 months. So basically, you pay for 6 months of the service, and they'll unlock the phone, and then you can take it to AT&T wherever you'd want to, which would be ideally the goal. I go on. I buy it, I get the SIM, I go on there, I go on customer support, I say I'd like to activate my new, my Microsoft Lumia 640, and they say, well, we're no longer supporting that device, which I thought was odd since AT&T is going to be supporting it. Why aren't you supporting it? But okay, fine. They're not supporting it. I say, well, okay, you're not supporting it, so could you go ahead and unlock it for me? And they said, well, no, our policy is that you have to have an active SIM in it for at least 6 months for us to unlock it. I said, well, how can I have active 6 months of service on it when you don't want to activate it for me? In which case they basically just said, have a nice day, and that was the end of the chat. So if you are someone who's going on there, be mindful. If you're looking to pick one of these up cheap, get one of the ones that's not Cricket Wireless, because you're going to have a bit of a time getting it unlocked. But aside from that, let me tell you something. People have messaged in the comments on all of my Windows videos talking about the 640, and I can't say I blame them. The case is, I don't know if it comes through on video, but it's got kind of this translucent thing happening along the borders, along the plastic for the frame. Really neat. It's got kind of a 90s aesthetic to it, but I really like it. So it's got, I can't even imagine what the orange looks like in this particular phone. It's probably wild. I like the build quality. It's able to be light without feeling cheap. And there's a difference. There's cheap light, feels like things going to break. And there's actually just light, but still functional. And that's what this phone is here. Good build, plastic build. It's on the more inexpensive side. Internally, it's essentially an 830, from what I can understand, a Nokia 830. It's got the Snapdragon 400. It's got the gig of RAM. You get Windows. It came with Windows 8. I upgraded it to Windows 10 because my first purpose was to actually use this on AT&T. But that might not be the case unless I find another way to get it unlocked. But just with Wi-Fi, it works as a Windows phone should. In fact, I think it has a better screen than the 830. I think it's a little snappier than the 830. I think the clear black display, even though they're both still LCD, but I think this one has a little bit truer black on the screen and runs really well. Look, battery life, you don't have to talk about battery life with a Windows phone. And the 2,500 milliamp hour batteries, which for Windows Phone, in Windows Phone terms, is absolutely massive. This thing will outlast you. You'll have standby. Long after you're gone, this thing will still be on standby and running just fine. Other than that, like I said, it's pretty snappy. That app scope thing, you could use Instagram, you could use Twitter, you're going to get by just fine. If you upgrade to Windows 10, you're going to get Microsoft Edge, so you get all that stuff there. You know, the regular stuff, the Facebook apps, they're not going to work. You're going to have to go for third-party solutions or the web app for that, but otherwise you're going to be okay. I like the fact that even though this is an upgrade over the cable upgrade to Windows 10 Mobile, it didn't break some of the news and weather stuff, which has happened on my other devices. I don't know why that is. When I upgraded the 830s to Windows 10 over the cable, it broke some of the live tiles, but that wasn't the case here. And I wonder if it's not because this could get over-the-air updates, and it does. Believe it, there was an over-the-air update for this when I first powered it up. But no problem. You're going to have all the app stuff you could possibly want. I mean, well, all right, let's not. All the app stuff you could possibly want in the Windows Phone world, which if you're a Windows Phone user at this point, you know it's basically side loading and all the rest of it. But what you could do, you have micro SD card support as well to supplement, I believe it was the 8 gigs of internal storage. A little light on the internal storage, but you had an SD card slot that could make up for that as well. Excel, Microsoft stuff still works great. You're going to get to take advantage of that fact that they still update a lot of the stuff for mobile. So you're going to have Excel, you're going to have OneNote, you're going to have... Listen, Windows phones, even ancient ones, and when they have just the single camera and however many megapixels it is, Microsoft or Nokia Lumia Windows Phone cameras were never helpless. Never, ever helpless. They were never in a position where they were going to take a bad image. If you had good lighting, you were good. Way before that was the fact on iPhone. Certainly well before it was the fact on any Android devices or Samsung devices. Microsoft, and before that, Nokia devices on Windows phones always prioritized having great images. And they did a fantastic job with that. You still have the suite of the Lumia Moments, Selfie, Storyteller, all that stuff that you want if you're into that. Outlook Mail is going to work fine. PowerPoint, you get the sports, you get weather, and you get some Xbox console companion. Works just fine. You can send messages to friends, see achievements, all the rest. These are terribly useful devices, and for the fact that they're not really supported, I guess they sort of are supported, but really not. The fact that they're not supported, that they're as useful as they are, is really a testament to how lightweight and how well built and optimized they were from the start. And this is why it's almost criminal that we don't have the competition that we used to have in the cell phone, smartphone market. Well, now that it's just Android and iOS, you can tell it's powder. You know that innovation has stagnated. I know they're doing stuff with foldables. I know they're doing all that. If Microsoft were still working with Windows Phone today, and if BlackBerry were still around doing stuff on the enterprise side, I think you'd have a lot better and healthier cell phone market than we have right now. It's bad enough that we're losing manufacturers left and right with LG leaving, but not having Windows Phone there to push the UI and user experience is a shame. This was absolutely, along with the keyboard, best-in-class on-screen keyboard. This was the best UI that we had on a phone for years. Years. You want to say maybe Android is just catching up to this now? iOS certainly isn't. But maybe a little bit now. They allow you a couple widgets. This was so ahead of its time, along with the camera system, so fun to use. And the fact that you could still, there are still people using this in 2021. You still can absolutely do it. I highly recommend it, especially for a secondary device. If you're someone that doesn't use a lot of apps, or if you're comfortable with web applications, this is still get the job done. Still a great texting experience, still a great email experience, still great for calls. You know, when people made phone calls on phones, great audio for that. No problems whatsoever. And I say a representative camera. It's from 2015, so it's not going to have all the computational stuff that you're used to now. But they did stuff before that that made it a pretty decent and clean image. Just a lot of fun. Dark mode, good battery life, snappy performance. It really, you sit there and you wonder what would have happened if they had been allowed to continue. If the marketplace, if enough people had purchased them and gave them a chance, and if they had app support in a marketplace that was dominated by iOS and Android for app support. But the build quality, when I first picked it up, and I saw how light it was and felt how light it was, I said, maybe I don't know about this. But then you see how solid it is for how light it is and how great that engineering is. Really fun case with the fun colors. Just a lot of fun to use. And the fact that it performs so well even today and you just have absolutely no problem with anything you want to do. OneNote, great for notes, great for news, simple stuff like that. OneDrive can still connect. On Windows 10, you're still going to be able to sign into all your Microsoft stuff. So if you got one, if you're someone that's in the market for one, like I said, don't get a Cricket one, get an AT&T one. But as far as they're concerned, we're going to be able to use it. I might pick up another one that's going to be able to be used on AT&T. I'm looking out for a cheaper 950. If it gets in that sub 150 range, I'm always down to try a 950. But Windows phones will always live on this channel as long as we have it. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.